Today, we're diving into something dramatic. Denmark just delivered what could be a strategic knockout to one of Russia's most vital lifelines in the Baltic Sea, and the ripple effects may be bigger than many realize. Let's break this down in clear, direct terms. In recent days, Denmark has taken concrete steps to choke off what many analysts call one of Russia's last dependable maritime arteries in the Baltic. The region is already a geopolitical flashpoint, but by exerting control over key straits and intensifying inspections on ships, especially oil tankers linked to the so-called shadow fleet, Denmark is signaling a decisive move. This shadow fleet consists of older vessels of opaque ownership, often operating under flags of convenience used by Russia to circumvent sanctions. For years, these ships have traversed narrow Danish Straits to carry Russian crude and other commodities toward the North Sea, and beyond, a vital route that helps Moscow generate revenue and maintain its logistical flexibility. Denmark's tightening of inspections and regulatory clamps is not just about environmental safety or maritime maintenance. It's about strategic leverage. By scrutinizing older tankers, denying safe passage, and increasing legal burdens, Denmark is effectively raising Russia's operational costs, increasing the risk of shipping losses, and squeezing its export infrastructure. In parallel, Denmark's intelligence has publicly accused Russian warships of provocative behavior in its territorial waters. These warships have allegedly sailed dangerously close to Danish naval vessels, locked weapons onto Danish helicopters and ships, jammed navigation systems, and even attempted collision courses. While Denmark insists it doesn't want a direct escalation, it sees this pattern as part of Russia's hybrid warfare strategy, probing, pushing boundaries, testing responses. Think about the geography here. Access to the Baltic Sea is funneled through narrow choke points, the Skagerrak, Kattegat, and the Danish Straits like the Øresund, the Great Belt, and the Little Belt. Control over these waters gives Denmark outsized strategic clout. If Denmark or Danish-backed NATO forces can monitor and restrict traffic here, it can effectively gatekeep Russia's maritime access from the Baltic to global markets. So, why does this matter so much to Putin and Moscow's war machine? For one, every drop of oil, every barrel of export counts. Russia already faces widespread sanctions, banking restrictions, and export limitations. Having a key maritime route obstructed or under threat means higher insurance costs, increasing logistical complications, and reduced margin for error. The shadow fleet, by its nature, is vulnerable. Many of its ships are borderline decrepit, uninsurable in Western markets, and subject to environmental and safety risks. If Denmark forces more of those vessels into breakdowns, spills, or legal hold-ups, it chips away at Moscow's ability to sustain its existing export flows. Secondly, there's the political symbolism. Europe is watching. If one NATO member can blunt Russia's maritime power in the Baltic, it sets a precedent. It emboldens other Baltic states, Poland, the Nordic countries' forces, an alignment of maritime defense postures. It also channels more pressure onto Russia's other routes, Arctic, Pacific, Southern Seas, stretching Moscow's logistics thin. Third, this is a psychological blow. Russia has long treated naval routes and maritime dominance as pillars of power projection. Losing effective control or having a key path blocked undermines prestige. It invites escalation, but also forces Moscow to respond in ways that could trigger miscalculation. Let's imagine the cascade. Russia might retaliate in kind or via proxy through cyber attacks, sabotage of undersea cables, threats to infrastructure, or submarine operations. Europe might respond by reinforcing NATO naval presence in the Baltic, deploying patrols, drone systems, undersea surveillance, or even forming joint interdiction forces. Such a showdown could escalate tensions far beyond the Baltic into full-blown confrontation risks. Indeed, Denmark has already announced defense investments, new surveillance vessels, and stronger maritime intelligence efforts. Also, this situation spotlights the intersection of warfare with climate and environment. A tanker collision or leak in the narrow Danish Straits could create catastrophic environmental damage. Denmark leverages that risk. It constrains Russia not solely by force, but by elevating the political cost of accident. The argument is, if we allow degraded, risky vessels to pass unchecked, we gamble with our coastline, waters, marine life, and reputation. That's not something Denmark is willing to risk. Of course, Russia won't take this lying down. It could shift traffic through alternative routes, use more shadow transshipments, rely more on pipelines, or intensify covert operations to pressure or distract Denmark. Russia may try to sow internal debate in EU states, or use legal arguments under the law of the sea, unclose about innocent passage or rights. Some vessels do have legal protections, but Denmark may counter by demanding stricter compliance, denying pilotage, increasing checks, and invoking security exceptions. There's also potential for escalation through maritime harassment. Russia might test the rules of engagement, send fleets close to Danish waters, challenge patrols, threaten naval collisions. If mismanaged, these confrontations could lead to incidents. But Denmark seems aware and cautious. Its messaging emphasizes deterrence over provocation. In short, Denmark's move is subtle but powerful. It's not a full blockade in wartime terms, but it's a blockade in strategic and economic effect. It forces Russia to pay more, take more risks, and face more friction. It weakens a key lifeline. It changes the balance in the Baltic theater. What comes next? Watch for these signals, more aggressive inspections and denials of passage to shadow fleet vessels. Establishment of joint EU/NATO Baltic naval patrols. Diplomatic pressure from Russia and counter. Moves in insurance, maritime law, and sea lanes. Possible infrastructure sabotage by covert means targeting undersea cables, seafloor disturbances, drone incursions. Heightened surveillance, drones, unmanned vessels to map covert movements. Denmark is already deploying sail drones in the Baltic. Increased military spending from Baltic and Nordic states to fortify choke points. Denmark itself is investing heavily. For Putin, this is a nightmare. It threatens his ability to cash in on oil exports, projects weakness in his sphere of influence, and forces him to divert resources to counter smaller states' pressure. He must respond or appear weak, yet aggressive response risks escalation. So, Denmark has made a bold strategic play, using legal authority, geographic advantage, and smart regulation to choke a sea route without firing a shot. That's the kind of pressure that, while underappreciated, can shift dynamics over time. Thanks for staying with me through this. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What do you think Russia's next move will be after this Danish blockade?